Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And this is the return of Pilmeni Big Tits.
And this week, we rappel into the world of contemporary spy films with Mission Impossible and the Bourne Identity.
Mm-hmm.
Before this podcast self-destructs, remember you can help us on Mortified the Legitimacy Quest by smashing that like and subscribe on YouTube, leaving us a review on the podcast platform of your choice, or just telling a friend about the show. Leyla,
Aaron.
have we reached peak spycraft?
What an interesting question you pose. I think if we were to time travel back to 2002, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of spy movies, it's stuff like Mission Impossible and Bourne Identity that I think of. You know, we've covered the early James Bonds. We've covered Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. We covered Austin Powers, which is a spy film asterisk. But this is really what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of undercover agents. I'm thinking of conspiracies. And I'm thinking of like kind of goofy action set pieces that vary in their groundedness. So this is like what I think of when I think of spy movies, and throughout the course of our unit, I've kind of broadened my understanding of what spy movies have been throughout the decades. But yeah, I mean, like, have you had any experience with either of these franchises before?
No, I have somehow avoided seeing Matt Damon on my screen. Period. End of sentence.
Really? Before the Odyssey?
Yes. I've just simply not seen that man in a leading role in a movie that I have watched. Isn't that crazy?
You've never seen Ocean's 11?
Correct.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
I see this motherfucker all the time. He was in fucking We gotta watch Saving Private Ryan is actually one of the like deep lore Mortified films we gotta watch, because that's a very Aaron movie. But yeah, he's
great.
He's like been a constant presence in my understanding of cinema.
I don't think I've heard him speak about not Ben Affleck.
Yeah, so what is his whole relationship with Ben Affleck?
I don't know. All I know is that anytime I've seen a clip of this man, he is talking about Ben Affleck, and it's because that's what people who I follow on the internet put in front of me. But yeah, I've never seen Matt Damon. Honestly, Tom Cruise, I feel like the only context I have for Tom Cruise is Interview with the Vampire.
Also insane. Also crazy that you haven't seen a Tom Cruise movie that's not like one of his more obscure ones.
This is the queer straight cultural divide, Aaron.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Gosh, I mean, obviously Tom Cruise is all across the Mission Impossible franchise, but like for me, his touchstones are like the one where he's Goose, Top Gun, and World of Worlds and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, seeing him in like one of these like career defining roles has really, well, I wouldn't say it's made me respect him more, but it's made me understand what cinema was like in the 90s, which I guess is important.
I don't think it's made me respect him more. I think it has made me respect a time during which actors could make really goofy faces in unflattering camera angles.
You didn't like the camera angles?
I thought the cinematography was full of choices.
Yeah. Well, listen, again, it was the 90s. They hadn't invented camera angles until the early 2000s, is that's kind of my view of cinema generally. I know that's not true, but I do feel like anything before 1990, let's say 7, it all kind of looks the same to me.
We can't get into that. We have to talk about 2 films today. I can't get into that, so we just won't.
All right. If that's the case, then shall I summarize Mission Impossible, and then we can go through that, and then you want to take Bourne Identity?
Yeah, please, because as you saw in my notes, I lost quite literally the plot as soon as the twist happened. So the first twist. So
yeah. So Mission Impossible, 1996 film, I believe, directed by Brian De Palma. was criticized for this exact thing, Leyla. People all, even when it came out, people thought this plot was dumb and convoluted, which it is. But yeah, basically, we got Ethan Hunt. He's part of the IMF, which does not stand for International Monetary Fund, but does stand for Impossible Missions Force. So that's a cool name. Again, this is a franchise that's actually based off of, I want to say, a TV series, 1966 TV series. So that's why that stupid thing's in there. But yeah, he is going on a mission with his team. His team consists of a bunch of people. There's a hacker guy. There's the driver girl. There's the mission leader, Jim, who's like a father to Ethan. This is not a 5-sentence summary. What am I doing? I forgot entirely what our podcast is about. Let me try to do this in 5 sentences. I got so excited about the IMF that I completely went off book. 1. Ethan Hunt is part of the Impossible Missions Force, and his whole team is killed in Prague. 2. He is blamed for this disaster by his organization and goes on the run with his dead team leader's wife, Claire, played by, real quick, Emmanuelle Béat. I don't know how to say French words. One of the hottest women I've ever seen in my life.
Truly upsetting.
It's like distracting. To try to clear their names. 3, they have to break into the CIA headquarters to steal the list of agent identities and sell them to a bad person named Max in order to draw out the mole that they believe Ethan is. But they'll try to draw out the real mole. After a successful heist on the CIA headquarters at Langley, they actually do draw out the mole, who is Jim, Ethan's old boss, who claims that the guy who's hunting them, Kitteridge, is actually the mole. But Ethan has a series of flashbacks that tell us what's actually happening. That's 4. 5 sentences. Ethan is both able to clear his name and kill Jim after they do a big switcheroo with the NOC list, non-official code names cover, non-official cover list, that involves somebody flying a helicopter through the channel at one point. Period. Me and Leyla both didn't like this movie. I will say, audience, it's my fault we didn't watch a better movie. We were actually going to watch Mission Impossible Fallout, which is, by all accounts, a much more exciting movie. I think that's the one where Henry Cavill cocks his hands. I'm very sad that we didn't do that because I just messed up and we just watched the original. I don't think that this is a good movie, but it does make me understand why this franchise was so big and became this big blockbuster.
I'm honestly shocked that it has gone on for as long as it has. And there's a part of me that is curious to, because I did get my hands on Fallout, so I'm curious to maybe watch it and see where it goes, because I found Ethan Hunt an unwatchable douchebag. And the plot was convoluted, and the flashbacks made it even more confusing because the movie is treating me like a dummy in a way that's confusing me and goes against every film. They're like trying to reinvent the wheel cinematically with this movie. So it's like Ethan's sitting there making concerned faces while Jim is talking to him, and then having flashbacks as if to show us what Jim was doing while Jim is giving us contradictory information, but Ethan wasn't physically there for Jim doing all that shit. So I was confused about, like, is this Jim having kind of guilt flashbacks as he's lying to Ethan? because Ethan is not really giving him anything in his performance that he's doubting Jim. It is, and I was so confused and so distracted that the rest of the movie lost me, and there was still a lot of movie to go.
Well, I will say they did foreshadow it with the Bible thing. Do you remember
I caught
bit?
that. Well, that's the problem. I caught the Drake Hotel. Okay, so Jim says he goes to the Drake Hotel in Chicago, and then Ethan, while he's trying to solve the Job puzzle by emailing Max at Job:3 or Job3:14. Not even .com. It's Max at Job3:14. That's how email addresses work.
That's correct.
So while Ethan is doing that, he realizes the Bible is from the Drake Hotel, and he's like, oh shit, this is like a stamped Bible that Jim's the mole. And I was like, okay, I as an audience member understand that. You've given me the hint, and now you've paid it off. And then the flashback made it so confusing, because I was like, do we believe Jim? I don't understand your reaction that you're having. And then I got lost.
That's fair. I think Robert Ebert said it best, which is like, this is a movie that can only be enjoyed in the moment. And so you just don't think about it beyond the moment that you're in it. And yeah, I think that's true. I think if you think about it for any longer than 5 seconds, if you look away from the flashing lights and pretty stunt work, it is a movie that is utterly insubstantial and lacks many compelling performances. Again, it was a pleasure to watch Emmanuelle Beat because she is very, very pretty.
It's like upsetting.
Yeah, there's a bit where when they're infiltrating the CIA headquarters, part of their plan involves her going and sitting down next to a guy who has access to a secret room and like spiking his drink with something that gives him makes him throw up. And that was like maybe the most unrealistic part of that movie, because if somebody that attractive sat down next to me just like out of nowhere at work, like I would not just simply politely ignore her. I think I would fully break out into sweats. I think I would stand up and leave because I'd be like, I gotta get out of here, dog. Something's happening.
I mean, that's what I said. I was like, fight or flight fully would activate. I wouldn't know what to do. No, she's distractingly beautiful, and married to Jim.
Yeah, again, this is a situation that's like, what? What are you talking about? Jim looks like to be twice her age, and
Jim looks like he just walked off of the set of Cheers.
Yes, 100%. He's just like some guy. There's a couple things I do want to hit about Mission Impossible, like. So the thing opens, right, with his Ethan Hunt being a smug douchebag, and his like they're all joshing around with their IMF team. They're having a good time. They're establishing that we've worked together for a long time. We're all buddy. They have a mission, but the mission doesn't really matter because as it plays out, we see how competent Ethan is. We see that he's like flirting with one of his coworkers. That's all fine. And then we start seeing them get like slowly murdered. Like one of them just gets impaled by the top of an elevator shaft, which I think is wild. There's one bit where they get blown up by a car. One of the coworker that he's like kind of flirting with gets stabbed with a very distinctive knife that comes into play later in the movie, which is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. But yeah, I saw in this, there's definitely a comparison you can make to Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which is like, a member of a team goes in, something's gone wrong, a mole has betrayed them, and a bunch of people get killed for no reason. And I'm wondering, what is compelling to us as an audience about the like situation where somebody gets betrayed and loses their whole team, because this seems to be a common trope among spy media.
Well, one, it's a fun little puzzle to solve, because instead of having a villain like, for example, Goldfinger. I've confused them every single time. Instead of having a villain like that who has like potentially limitless external resources, you now have a villain that has potentially limitless external resources and knows the infrastructure of the good guys. There's also the compelling, which is to say, sorry. Let me cleanse my brain. You now have somebody who has potentially unlimited external resources and knows and can compromise the trust and also the resources and the networks of the good guys. There's also the personal drama of it all. Kind of, it's bringing a little bit of that personal betrayal in, because if you want to make it personal with an external villain, that villain you either have to somehow know, or they have to, I don't know, like kidnap a loved one, or do some like Taken shit.
Right.
And so you have somebody who already has some built-in personal drama and some potential resentment. It can also make the story a little bit more, like, maybe morally interesting, because it's like, ooh, why did this person betray this organization? Maybe they have problems with the missions they were on or whatever, or they were mistreated somehow, or they have a personal grudge, or had to make a sacrifice. So it's like, it's a more intimate friction when you have a mole story, rather than it kind of becomes almost a superhero kind of pre-Marvel thing if you just have a random external villain, a la God's Eye from our favorite franchise, Fast and Furious.
Right. No, I think that makes sense. Yeah, it is in a film that has very little narrative and character work going on. It's like the only compelling, emotional hook in the entire movie.
Well, and you know what's funny is, we'll talk about it when we talk about our next film, but I think watching Mission Impossible after Bourne Identity was even more of a letdown, because Bourne Identity is like kind of ruthlessly efficient in giving Jason Bourne some like character meat. And then all I know about Ethan Hunt is that he's kind of a douchebag, and then he felt up that beautiful woman for no reason when she showed up. Like, I get he was trying to give her kind of a pat down for weapons because she came in after the abort or whatever, but it felt needlessly sexual, and then he pinned her to a bed, and I was like,
Yeah, I mean, listen, that was obviously like they're trying to set up the romance between them. It was wicked uncomfy. I didn't like it to watch it.
Well,
Yeah.
that, and I don't know, I never got a reciprocal chemistry from them at all. Like, I don't know, it was just kind of weird, a weird vibe. And at one point she like is sitting on the ground and takes his hand and like rubs her face up on it, or like kisses his knuckles or something. And Tom Cruise just looks so constipated and uncomfortable the whole time. I was like, this would be more compelling if he was gay. If we had a kind of Knives Out situation on our hands. And he was just like, I don't know what you're doing.
Stop this.
Stop, cease.
Yeah. We'll talk about it here in a little bit, but yeah, I think it's worth talking about the treatment of women in these films, but both these two that we watched, and also across the, I guess, 5 that we're dealing with now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to briefly highlight about Mission Impossible. There's a couple of set pieces, right? Mission Impossible is a stunt movie in a big way. Am I incorrect in saying that Tom Cruise is like famous for doing all his own stunts?
I don't know when that started in this franchise, if that's been from the beginning, but like certainly modern Mission Impossibles, yes, or Missions Impossible.
Okay, yeah, that I'm glad that is not just a thing that I made up, but yeah, this is a movie that has a bunch of set piece action scenes that are, in the 90s, I'm sure they were cool. Here, they're a little underwhelming. We'll talk about them. There's like the big one, I think the most famous one, is where they infiltrate Langley to steal this this disc that has all the names on it. And really the most impressive bit is where they have to like have him rappel from a skylight type deal to hover above a computer. And while I did find that fun, it was also just visually very goofy. He looks like a goddamn puppet. And he's like, he's got the rappel cord hanging above the computer as he's like typing, and he's getting like swung back and forth. And occasionally some guy will come in or threaten to come in, and they have to like hoist him back up. I don't think it was dramatic in any way.
It wasn't dramatic in any way. I was stunned by how little happens in this movie. Like, by
Yeah.
modern action standards, right, you get the opening kind of and everything's so slow. You get the opening slow set piece of the team getting decimated, and then you get that middle. Well, you get an extended sequence of Tom Cruise searching Bible
Yeah.
online,
Normal thing to
searching
do.
Max.com for the arms dealer Max. She's searching Job and then figuring out the whole Job 314 thing. And then you get the action set piece at Langley, which is protracted, and then there's like 2 more things that happen, and that's it. Stunningly little happens in this film, and all of it is so slow, by just like sheer modern action movie standards. So I don't know.
It's
I
like
thought it was
3
fun.
major scenes, right?
Yes.
I do want to point out there's one minor scene that I got a real big kick out of. It's where he is like meeting the IMF contact Kitteridge, who is like the antagonist throughout the movie. At the beginning, after all, the team gets burned, and they're meeting in an aquarium / bar. And I was like, I wonder why they're setting this in an aquarium / bar. And of course, it becomes a thing where he blows up one of the panels to escape, and all the fish, fall on everyone, and he's able to escape. Listen, as a fish lover, as an aquarium lover, I don't think you should do that. I think it's mean to the fish. It's a lot of work to maintain aquariums. Don't do that. But as an action set piece, pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Dorky ass gadgets happening in this flick. There's a lot of like fun bodysuits. He's getting rappelled down on like a pulley system pulled by a guy. The discs. God, I miss a physical disc.
Me too.
He's got to
I was
deal
like,
with.
hey, 240 megabytes. That's not bad.
That's not bad at all. I just got
96. That's pretty good.
I just got new PS2 memory cards, and I think they're 128 each.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But it's, yeah. I agree. I thought that was a fun little... I also really enjoyed how brightly colored the movie was. Because a lot of it takes place at night, and you could see everything. Because they just, light the fog blue. And you get it. You're like, this is nighttime.
Right. I wish
we
that
must
we could
return. Yeah, we must return right now.
Yeah. Of the characters in this movie, I think definitely the most compelling is the hacker Luther Stickle, played by Ving Rhames.
Absolutely.
He's like the only likable guy in the entire movie, which is unfortunate.
No doubt about it. He shows up in a cunty turtleneck. He's tempted by the thrill of the job. He gets redeemed at the end. He's no longer, what do they call them? They call them
disavowed.
He's no longer disavowed by the end. And then he's just like ready to eat beautiful food and hack for the thrill of it.
There's a really fun sequence on the train where he's like counter hacking the Max's upload of the files or whatever, and he's basically it is a goofy counter hacking sequence, but it is funny to imagine or to see the 90s imaginary of what tech was like, because there's so many sequences in this where it's like so they're plugged into something, right? Because there's no Wi-Fi. You can't just have Wi-Fi and hack in, wirelessly. You have to be plugged into the mainframe for this.
Right, which is why they had to physically go to Langley, because it was an offline thing.
Right.
Where they got the knock list. He truly is. He is the light of this movie, because without him, I think I would have been filled with hatred and loathing. But just to see him. Also, I really liked him when he was giving instructions during the Langley heist, because he has no reason to be whispering. I know there's like that whole conceit of, oh, if you're too loud, the alarm will go off. But it's like, man, he's in a headset. It's fucking fine. But he's just sitting there going, he's coming. He's in the outside room. I just really liked it when he was like sweating through the whole thing. Very charming. Very good performance.
Really committed to the bit. The last sequence where they are like fighting on the train, I think was actually one of the weakest train fight sequences I've seen, and partially it's because it's a bullet train. It's moving so fast that they're like plastered to the outside. They have to have like little suction cups in order to hang on, which I partly think is fun. I think it's fun to subvert the train fight trope and just be like, you cannot do a train battle on here. It's too fast. But then they also have a helicopter fly after the train into the tunnel, and then the helicopter gets hooked to the train for a bit. So it's like, well, what are we doing here?
So I liked it when it first started, and I was like, ooh, a very fast train. And then so much of the runtime was Tom Cruise just holding onto the train.
Mm-hmm.
Just
making stupid faces.
Making the dumbest face. That was it. I was like, okay, I get it. It's going fast. It is time to do something else with that. And then they didn't. And I was like, oh. And then the same piece of explosive, totally spies ass chewing gum that blew up the aquarium restaurant is what blows up Krieger piloting that helicopter. And then they have the shot of him like just almost barely getting his neck cut by the helicopter blades. I was like, what are we doing? None of this has been set up.
No. Again, it's just a bunch of like keys jangling in front of our faces. This movie I think cost what, 60 million to make.
Sure.
Let's see.
It's like
80 million in 96 money and made 457 million, so like
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, apparently people liked keys jangling in the 90s. Listen, I don't know. I like a lot of Marvel movies, so I fucking calling the kettle black over here. But
people like keys jangling today. I seen the Odyssey. That's
yeah, that's true. The Odyssey is also a big spectacle movie, which I enjoyed. I had a good time.
Dad.
I didn't mind the dad stuff. I minded our age of broad is collapsing stuff. It's sort of like how we occasionally on this podcast will say, oh, the early 21st century age. I just feel like we're in some sort of early 21st century age of American decline here.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, we did a solid 25 minutes on this movie, which I think is more than it deserved. Do you want to talk about the Bourne Identity? A much better movie.
Oh my god, I would love to talk about the Bourne Identity. So in the Bourne Identity parentheses 2002, Matt Damon as Jason Bourne is found floating in the water by Italian fishermen, namely Giancarlo. And that's parentheses. Parentheses, namely Giancarlo, parentheses. After being restored to full health, Jason Bourne must figure out who he is. He can speak he can speak German, he can do pull-ups, and he's got a weird bullet with a bank account number embedded in his hip. Period. After figuring out that he has many monies and many passports, he enlists the help of a German lady named Marie to take him to his apartment in Paris, where the two of them get attacked, and it becomes clear that Jason is in some deep shit that might have to do with a failed assassination of some South African leader. Period. The assassination shit kind of doesn't really matter and is kind of a contrivance. And the agency TM ends up chasing Jason and Marie. Nope, the CIA in this one. Sorry. The CIA, I guess TM, continues to chase Jason and Marie around Paris and Marseille and various other locales in order to eliminate Jason, this includes a sniper that no one else will find hot, but I found kind of hot, right around and chasing him.
Come on. He's in the movie for like 2 minutes.
Did it for me. God. I forgot where it was. Period. Jason pretends Marie died when she runs off and then goes to confront his CIA handlers, which ends up with them dead, and then Jason goes to Mykonos to meet back up with Maria. Period.
Yeah. It's a far better movie. Of the movies we've watched so far, I think this is my favorite.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Same.
Tinker
I
Tailor
might
was
watch
good,
the rest
but
of
like
these.
they might be cool. They might be good. I probably won't watch the one with Jeremy Renner, but you know.
A coward.
Listen, I'm not. Listen, he must always be the guy with the app. To me. Oh god, this movie was originally set for release in September 2001.
Oops.
So I was going to ask, like, okay, is the difference in tone between Bourne Identity and Mission Impossible, related to the September 11th, resulting, wave of conservative grimness that washes over our media? But it's clearly not, right? It was clearly, ready to go out at the same time.
No, I read something where Jason Bourne was referred to as the anti-Bond. I think it's responding to Bond, right? I don't know what the most recent Bond would have been or who Bond was in the kind of like late 90s. But it's this like much more grounded, much more, I don't want to say realistic, but like there's such an emphasis on the cost of this work in Jason Bourne. I don't know. I thought it was really cool. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was great. And there was some really cool, I think both of these had some interesting cinematic quirks, where like Mission Impossible had these like bright magical realism colors and these like weird angles where it was like almost cartoonish in its execution. And it was kind of trying to reinvent the wheel sometimes. Meanwhile, the Bourne Identity was so comfortable in silence. Like, music was only used for emotional scenes. Action was never cued to music. It wasn't ever trying to get your blood pumping. Like, it was genuinely trying to generate tension and discomfort. I really liked it. It's good.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, there is like some character work, which I think is to be commended.
There is a genuinely sexy hair dyeing scene.
Yeah. It was hot.
I
I liked it.
Matt Damon kneading that German lady's hair did it for me.
That German lady is Franca Potente. Is she in 10 Things I Hate About You, or
no? Nikki is Julia Stiles.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, she is a minor character here. Trying to figure out any other movies that we would have seen Franca Potente in. None that I can think of. What am I trying to say?
I don't know.
I've lost my point. One thing that I think is really exciting about the Bourne Identity is that so when we think about spy film, spy genre, the kinds of fantasies or stories that are being told over these movies, right? James Bond is, I'm a cool, well-dressed guy that fucks a lot. That's like the main fantasy for James Bond. Overall pretty goofy. Ethan Hunt is fairly similar, I would say. The fantasy is that you're a cool guy who hangs out with hot women, who does cool stunts. You're a real badass. Tinker Tailor is, again, much more aligned with Bourne Identity in this way, in that it is not really a fantasy. It is grounded. It is bureaucratic. It is about the uncovering of who knew what, where, and when. And I don't think there's a fantasy in that, in much as it is, like you said, like an anti-Bond and a trying to roll back a much more realistic take. But the fantasy of the Bourne Identity is, especially, again, this movie is like aimed squarely at me as a cishet, is like, you wake up, you don't know what's happening to you, but you suddenly come into a bunch of money. You realize that you have incredible physical prowess, specifically for violence, right? He is like describing to the love interest here,
Marie.
what's her Marie, where he's like, "Hey, so he like basically asks this girl to give him a ride to Paris, right? That's the kind of how they meet. He offers to pay her $20,000, um, and like when they're stopped in a cafe or something, he's like, I know the license plates of all 6 cars that are parked outside. I've checked all the exits. I know that there's a guy over there on the bar who weighs about 240 pounds, but like could be pretty dangerous in a fight. Like it is just like automatic sudden burst into your identity of competence and skill, specifically martial skill. Um, and obviously, there's an element of hooking up with a hot woman, but like I think there is just like the thing that like is so exciting for the imagination is to be like, wow, I could wake up one day and my life would be very exciting, and also I'd be really cool. And again, I think that is maybe an ungenerous read in that there's some notable drawbacks to waking up and your life being assassin, realizing that your job is murderer. That's not as fun, but I do like that, and I find that a very compelling character arc for Jason.
I agree. I think there's a little bit less of a fantasy element to this, other than, again, I think it's aligned with Tinker Tailor in the sense that it is a competency porn kind of thing, where it's like Jason Bourne knows what the fuck he's doing. And I think you and I had 2 slightly different reads on a scene where him and Marie are in Paris and they're trying to kind of run and dodge the CIA, and he's like, "We're blown," and she's like, "What's blown? Like, what are you talking about?" And he's like, we are blown," and he gets a paper and shows her that they know where like the 2 of them were staying, and he's like, "That's blown." And I think I didn't mind that as like I didn't read that as, oh, woman needs thing explained to her, because English is Marie's second language, so it's like fine to me that she doesn't know what blown is in that context. But it's one of those things where like he just naturally slips back into that professionalism, and he naturally starts picking up those habits again. And has to, like, Marie suddenly is like this, she was like helping out this guy, and now she suddenly has to kind of keep up with all this shit that's happening because he's a killing machine. I thought it was like a lot of character work for not a lot of dialogue in comparison to the runtime.
Yeah, well, I think you noted there's a lot of like moments of silence. There's a lot of Matt Damon like at first like just trying to figure out what is happening, kind of like looking around confusedly, but also trying to play it cool. Um it does do a lot of work. I feel like I know way more about Jason Bourne. Maybe that's because this movie was 20 minutes longer than Mission Impossible, but like given the portraits of these characters. Yeah, this one was much longer. Even though it didn't feel like it. It felt like the opposite.
Really did. I was like, that's crazy. I thought Mission Impossible was the one that was 20 minutes longer.
No.
Damn.
No. But yeah, just like I felt like I could connect with Jason and Marie throughout all of this, which were conversely, Ethan is a man that I would never want to have any sort of knowledge of, because he, at least in this movie, sucks ass.
Sucks so bad. Yeah, and not to mention, I think the amnesia is fun because I wonder how true this is, but there's a thing in my head that's telling me that part of the reason we feel like we know Jason Bourne is because we know as much of him as he knows.
Right. Yes, that's a great point, and a really useful narrative device.
Yeah, I just. It's good, and he had a great coat on. It was just a good movie. Just a really solid action film that I thought really, unlike Mission Impossible, trusted its audience to keep up.
Mm-hmm. I'll say the weakest part of this movie for me is his realization why he doesn't go through the assassination. Like the stuff with Wombozi or whatever his character's name is a little, it gets swept under the rug very quickly. With one of the many agencies, many other murderer machines just showing up and killing him. But he, Jason has these flashbacks when he's confronting his handler, and he learns the truth, which is that like he could have killed Wombosi very quickly, but his kids were there, and he's like, oh, I don't want to do this in front of his kids. I'll probably have to kill them too. And like they do get a little bit at this where he's like very worried about the safety of Murray's brother's kids at one point when the CIA shoots their dog. um, but like I do feel like it's a little bit of a unsatisfying payoff to learn like, oh, he just wanted out of this life. That's what happened. But also, looking back on it, especially the parts where he goes after this, fight with the guy, the dog killer, where he meets up with this other assassin. Is this the guy?
Is there confirmation that he killed the dog?
It's heavily implied that they have the dog in the first scene. They're like, oh, the dog needs to pee, and then when they come back out, the dad's like, the next morning, the dad's like, oh yeah, that dog would never miss dinner. We got to go look for him. And Jason's like, everybody get in the basement. So anyway,
well, the dog killer and the guy who killed Wombosi is the same guy, and yes, he is the one I was like,
Leyla, your adoration for cops is again rearing its ugly head. I will say,
I thought you were going to call me out for the fact that he looks sickly.
Well, he does also look like he has been stricken with the consumption in a sexy way. But like you brought this up in your notes, which is like the confrontation he has with this sniper guy after he's like basically mortally wounded him. Is he's like, hey, who am I? What is this project you're talking about? Project Night Rain. That's the video game. It's not Blackbriar. It's like Town Home? Nope. Treadstone.
Treadstone. I was close. Project Town Home is my prize. Me trying to buy a house.
Yeah, listen. Mortifiedpod@gmail.com if you want to help Leyla with Project Town Home. We take Cash App. But like, and he's like trying to explain. He's like, who am I? What is this thing? Are you Treadstone? He's like, oh my god, they do so much work on us. We give up so much. He's like, do you get the headaches? And Jason's like, oh yeah, I have headaches all the time. And he's like, yeah, that's what we are, you and me. We work alone. We're always alone. We give up so much. And it's like, okay. In the light of that, I do think I come away with the Jason wanted to get out of the life a little bit more kindly.
Yeah, the exact line was, look at what they make you give.
Right.
Works on me.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason, if I'm gonna continue to push this framing of we feel like we know Jason because we know everything there is to know about Jason post amnesia, like we are there the whole time with him. I think part of the reason the kids thing doesn't really work for me either is because I don't know who Jason is pre-amnesia. And so it just feels like a little bit of a cheap cop-out to say, man doesn't want to hurt child. It feels generic in that way, where it feels like it's reducing him to just kind of a flat, parentified kind of guy. And that's not interesting, right? It would be more interesting if he got outsmarted, right? Or we would have needed like a longer flashback to understand why he didn't do it. Honestly, it might have been more compelling just to not give us any information.
Yeah. I think I would have liked it better if he just like never found out what his whole deal was. But they have to have some resolution for the movie to feel like it's reached its narrative arc. This was actually mostly written by Tony Gilroy. Of Andor fame. I'm sure he's actually way more famous for stuff that's not Andor, but for me, the Star Wars man, it is this. That's what I care about.
The movie with the tower, the guy with the app, the Star Wars man.
Mm-hmm. Tony Gilroy, famous for 2 seasons of a Star Wars show.
But I mean, like, you can see the seeds of like the way Tony Gilroy thinks about big action tropes and how he's subverting them in the Bourne Identity and then how that develops into the Andor kind of like structure. So it's really visible. I like it a lot. I think I should look into more of Tony Gilroy's work because I like the way he thinks about problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I kind of want to zoom in on like that action piece actually, because like these two movies are both ostensibly action films, but they're very different in the way that they do action. And I'm wondering, do you have thoughts on, the purpose of a stunt film versus an action film? Like what are these like trying to draw out of its audience? What are they trying to make us experience or feel?
I feel like with the Bourne Identity, they want us to feel like Jason is competent, and the Mission Impossible is trying to jangle keys in front of our faces. Like I do think it's that. It's spectacle versus characterization. Like even the sex scene that he has with Marie, that Jason has with Marie in the Bourne Identity, that's I thought it was characterization. Like it totally makes sense to me that these two people who are both kind of like uprooted only know, kind of each other in this moment. Maria has a little bit more going on for her, but she seems mostly estranged from her family and is kind of described as nomadic in that way. Like she's lived in a bunch of countries and a bunch of places and she's just like unsettled. It makes sense that these two people in a dangerous situation are like looking to seek comfort and relief from each other, right? So everything I feel like is and the action sequences and the way Jason operates, it all is built into characterization. And meanwhile, Mission Impossible is like legitimately just like working stunts backwards. Do you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of. Do you ever watch the Mamma Mia sequel? Do you ever watch Mamma Mia? Here We Go Again. Okay, Mom Being Here We Go Again is built around the premise of we have Cher for 10 minutes. We have Cher for one day. And we are going to make her
like in the world or for filming?
For filming.
Okay,
so
that makes more sense.
Cher comes in to serve cunt, and she's going to say only the lines that lead to her saying the name of an ABBA song, and then she will sing that ABBA song. And it is about jangling those keys in front of you, going, look, it's Cher, and she's gonna sing Fernando. That's how I felt about Mission Impossible. They're like, ooh, he's gonna repel. Aren't you entertained?
This is maybe the first time I've heard a queer person say anything negative about the Mamma Mia cinematic universe. I will say.
Did I? I'm sorry. Was that negative? I love that movie. It's
okay.
Weird.
I stand corrected. My streak remains unbroken.
Yeah, no, it's Mom Being Here We Go Again is meant to be watched with at least two gay people in a dark theater, and every time Cher goes, oh God, what other song did she sing? I don't know. She'll turn and she'll go to Amanda Seyfried and she'll go, Chiquitita, tell me what's wrong. And then you hear the notes start in the back. I'm like, yeah, I'm all right.
Okay. Well, shout out to Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Is the premise of that also that somebody had sex with 3 people in one night and the parentage is
not in one night? Ooh, Meryl Streep wasn't that busy. No, so the original Mamma Mia, the premise is that Meryl Streep had 3 boyfriends in one summer, and it's impossible to tell which of them are her daughter's father.
Right. I did think it was one night. That makes Mamma Mia a little bit more understandable to me.
Yeah. It's a slightly longer time span, and then she invites all 3 to her wedding, and they do the funniest thing possible, which is all 3 actors. It's Stellan Skarsgård, Colin Firth, and a third one, whose name I'm just blanking on. Possibly a Henry. They try to show them in the flashbacks 20 years prior, and what they do is just put them in clothes from the 70s, and it's just like them, but they're 40 wearing clothes they would have worn
really
as teenagers. It's
really That's hysterical. Pierce Brosnan, as I believe who you're looking for.
Thank you so much, Pierce Brosnan, yes. He has I don't know why I was thinking of Henry Cavill while I was thinking of Pierce Brosnan.
Listen, Henry Cavill, he's related to Mission Impossible. He's just kind of always floating in the background of our thoughts.
Correct. Especially as I'm playing Warhammer. That's a Warhammer man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I wanted to talk about is the ways that subterfuge is a theme throughout all the media that we've talked about this last couple of weeks. Because like that's ostensibly the reason you have spies is to do spy shit.
Mm-hmm.
But like the spy shit's kind of only really happening in a couple of them, right? Bourne is like trying to keep identity. He's like got all these passports, right? This Tinker Tailor is all about subterfuge and identities and timelines and train tables or whatever. But like Ethan Hunt's not keeping a low profile. James Bond's not keeping a low profile. And if that's the case, why do we need this artifice that these people are working with for spy agencies? They're trying to do some level of subterfuge. Why are they acting, secretly, quote unquote? What is that aspect of the genre?
That's a good question. I think in terms of Mission Impossible, the function of them being related to the CIA is like there's always this sense, even among Americans, like our tax dollars pay for the CIA, but we don't know what the fuck is happening in there. So there's like a little bit of mystery, and I think it's just like, ooh, look at this thing with all these resources, and that's what Ethan Hunt is connected to. I think that's part of it. Again, I think competency porn is another part of it, where you just want people to be competent. For the rest of it, I don't know, and I also just like... It's been a long time since I felt that any kind of spycraft in a movie was, like, genuinely clever, but I don't know what I'm expecting, and I think there's a part of my brain that's expecting Death Note. Like, I am expecting two psychosexually obsessed people to be spinning, like, weird circles around each other, and I just don't get that for spy media, and so I go, what's I don't know.
Is that not Tinker Tailor?
I don't know. Tinker Tailor didn't pay off for me in a way that I found compelling.
That's fair.
So maybe that's just me though.
Speaking of the CIA, I think it's interesting that both of these films, the CIA is the bad guy, or at least is like oppositional in some way. And I am wondering, why is the CIA? I don't know. Maybe it's just a stupid question to be like, why do people not like the CIA? Because like, you and I don't like the CIA for political reasons, but like you'd think that movies that are ostensibly about, or for a large American audience would be at least somewhat pro-American government, or at least American military institutions.
I mean, I was anti-CIA before our right-wing pivot.
Oh, that's true. Sorry.
Yeah.
Of course, we love the CIA now and all its many coups.
Yeah. Thank you for acknowledging that. I wish I knew more about the kind of like American foreign policy in the 90s, just to like see what the sentiment was about the United States government, but I just don't know enough as to why that would be such a thing.
So Bill Clinton was president. There was a famous fiasco in Somalia involving the Delta Force.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't great. There was the intervention in Kosovo, Bosnia-Kosovo conflict.
Mm-hmm.
There's, of course, the remnants of the Cold War kind of winding down.
Would that put the country in like a There is a lot of Eastern Europe happening, so I think if anything, the Kosovo stuff is like leaving a fingerprint here in a big way. And probably the end of the Cold War, quote unquote. And I don't know. I wish I had a better understanding of spycraft sentiment at the time.
Maybe we're trying to go too hard on this. Maybe it's just like Americans know that a non-insignificant portion of our tax dollars go directly to a group of people with incredible authority to just kill people.
Men and women.
Sorry, nope, sorry, of
course.
Heroes of the country who have never done anything wrong and love to fucking defend us by doing regime changes.
Yeah,
that's always good for us.
Always correct,
right,
and good.
Okay, I think we're at the point where we're winding down the podcast, so I do want to, we've been kind of dancing around this, but like, okay, where do Jason Bourne and Ethan Hunt stack up against James Bond and Arthur Smiley? I think in the last episode you posited a like axis between goofy, not goofy, competent, incompetent. Is that correct? Hold on, let me make the axis. Competent.
Competent, incompetent, goofy, serious. Yeah.
Goofy. Okay. Hold on. Let me erase not goofy then. Goofy.
Woo!
Serious. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. This is my high-tech rendering.
This is a Fort Knox.
Right, a Fort Knox presentation level event. Okay, so James Bond. Where are we putting him on the competent, incompetent, goofy, serious axis?
Oh, I think you and I agree. Pretty incompetent.
Yes, James Bond, pretty incompetent.
Middle goofy.
Let's do like here then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm into that.
I'll figure out how to put this in the show notes somehow, listeners. You'll see this.
I mean, we can definitely put it on the Tumblr post.
Oh yeah, for sure. Who's the next guy? Austin Powers, I guess.
I like middlingly competent but very goofy.
Yes, I think that's fair. Austin Powers.
Like within the rules of his universe, he's not incompetent.
No, yeah, he's actually hyper competent. It's the issue. So I'll put him there. Arthur Smiley, right? That's his name, Arthur.
George Smiley.
George Smiley. Okay. I think fairly serious, fairly competent.
Yeah. I would scoot him maybe a skosh to, and then a skosh up even.
Yeah, he's pretty. George gets the job done.
Yeah. And he's not. I think he's the reason I don't see him as like fully serious is because he is kind of put upon and does have some funny observations about his colleagues.
That's true. He is a Britishman at his heart, and he does have these like not self-aggrandizing, the opposite of that, but he has those observations. Thank you. And then of course Ethan Hunt. Ethan Hunt is competent. He did all that repelling shit. He got the team together. He did. There was a double trick that happened at the end of that movie.
More or less goofy than Bond is the question.
He's
a little bit horny.
I would say he's a little bit more. I think he's a little bit less goofy than Bond because people actually die, and he cares about when people die. Right. Not a whole lot, but
right.
So I would say he's like here. He's not as competent as Austin Powers, but he's like here.
I would agree with this. Yes.
Okay. And then of course we get Jason Bourne, who is fairly serious and fairly competent. I'd put him like here.
So I think he's less serious than George Smiley when he's not on. That's
true. When he's not a living weapon, he's actually pretty. He was like talking to Marie about her he like really liked when she was talking about her vacations with her friends or whatever. So yeah, maybe here.
And I like that. I like that placement.
Jason Bourne doesn't have the memory to like go back and think about how his wife is fucking her cousin or whatever.
Right. So it's fine. And Matt Damon. I'm having a Matt Damon week, right? Because I saw The Odyssey and then Bourne Identity. The Odyssey, I don't know if I loved his performance, but I don't necessarily think that's his fault. I just don't really... Nolan's interpretation of Odysseus and casting of Odysseus for that interpretation is just fine to me. Like, it didn't thrill me the same way that Robert Pattinson or Mia Goth or Himesh Patel thrilled me in that movie.
Sure.
But having watched The Bourne Identity... I can see how I get why Nolan made that casting decision now.
Yeah.
And I think the reason Matt Damon did not thrill me in The Odyssey is the reason he did thrill me in The Bourne Identity, which is that every once in a while he will turn his head to talk to Marie, and he's just like becomes a guy, and there's just like a charm when he's not in super weapon mode, where he's got these like big eyes, and he's like kind of like open to the world, and he like likes Marie, and you can tell he likes her, and it's so charming. I was like, damn, Matt Damon, I was not familiar with your game. I'm a convert now. I'm intrigued by Matt Damon.
Yeah, listen, he's good actor, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe controversial. Famous actor Matt Damon is a good actor, but I think he's pretty good.
I mean, I think no offense to Mr. Cruise, I do think he did a better job than Mr. Tom Cruise.
Unquestionably, 100%.
I don't want to speak for Tom Cruise (modern), but Tom Cruise (late '90s) Mission Impossible, I thought was a little wooden.
I will also say, besides the Scientology shit, Tom Cruise is a traitor to the short king cause. He's famously like not trying to make himself taller than his female co-stars, which I think is cowardly. Just be short, man. Come on.
Just be short. Just be short. You're a handsome man.
Yeah.
Be short and handsome.
Leyla, when we are not trying to do all sorts of schemes to bring the short kings to power, where can we be found on the internet?
You can find me at LEYLSES on Tumblr and Blue Sky. My recommendation for the week is a little bit of a throwback, just kind of like the rest of this podcast, really going back to the early 2000s as we are wont to do. Everybody should listen to the album Intimacy by Block Party. I went to see Muse when they were rolling through my area, and I did not check who the openers were. And one of the openers was one of my old mainstays, Block Party, BLOC Party. And I'm just revisiting their entire discography this week, and it's brought me a lot of joy. And it's also kind of given me a sense of peace, because a lot of the things that they were singing about in the early 2000s are kind of problems that we are still having, which is the youth are too self-serious, and there's a bunch of shit going on, and also I wish there were more trains. So
ain't that the fucking way.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Aaron?
You can find me on Blue Sky at AA Void, Tumblr at Monster Factory Fanfic, where I guess I'm getting into more fanfic writing. We'll see. I also do a YouTube channel that's at AA Void on YouTube, where I occasionally, ostensibly, talk about tabletop games. Our theme song is Obsolete by Keshko from the Filmmakers Reference Kit Volume 2. You can find more of their music at keshko.bandcamp.com. Leyla, how shall we say goodbye to these movies?
Hasta lasagna, don't get any on ya.
So true. We'll see you all next time.